Hi, this is Aditya, and in this video, I will be showing you what I have learned about the respiratory system. I hope you learned from this, and feel free to leave comments below. The human respiratory system is multiple organs that work together in order to inhale oxygen and expel carbon dioxide. The human body sustains on oxygen, and if there is a lack of oxygen, known as hypoxia, you will be unable to breathe. Now we will talk about the path oxygen will take throughout your body. To take in oxygen, you must inhale it. You can either breathe in through your nasal cavity or through your oral cavity. It can be better to breathe through your nasal cavity because the nose hairs cleanse the air and warm it up, but it is viable to breathe through both. This is your nasal cavity, and this is your oral cavity. The nasal cavity shows air going through the nose, and the oral cavity shows air going through the mouth. Once breathed in, the air will make its way down your throat, approaching the Adam's apple. The Adam's apple is in the middle of your throat, and it controls the pitch of your voice. The Adam's apple shown here is this pink section, and once again it controls the pitch of your voice. After passing through the Adam's apple, the air moves into the trachea, also known as the voice box. The trachea is this blue section over here, and it splits into two tubes that lead into either lung. These tubes are called bronchus, and the bronchioles are embedded within the tissues of the lung. And the bronchioles are lined with small hairs called cilia. Cilia carries mucus back and forth. Both bronchial tubes lead into a long chain of bronchioles. So shown here is an enhanced version of the trachea, and then here it's just a representation of the bronchioles in the lung. Just imagine the bronchioles starting off thick, and then they slowly shorten down into smaller sections as the bronchioles progress through your lung. Eventually, the bronchioles will become small enough to hold alveoli. Alveoli are small sacs situated at the end of bronchioles, and alveoli are responsible for taking carbon dioxide and transferring oxygen into the bloodstream. This representation is a small showing of what a bronchiole will look like. So this section right here, that'll be your bronchiole, except it'll be extremely, extremely small. But right here off the end of the bronchiole, this is the sac. This is called the alveoli. And we'll be looking, it'll be shaped in this sac, so multiple of them will be in this one sac. And in this green section, we'll be looking at the magnified version up there. And right here is a small showing of the alveoli. And these yellow sections right here are just bronchioles just branching off from throughout the lung. And here, this red stripe is the bloodstream, and the alveoli are responsible for exporting the oxygen that you have just breathed in into the bloodstream, and then taking the waste from the cells, which is currently in the bloodstream, which it takes the carbon dioxide into the alveoli, and that's what you exhale. The alveoli are all in these small sacs, and they transfer oxygen, and then they take in carbon dioxide. Now we are going to talk about the outer portions of the lung. The outer portions of the lung is more simple. The heart is actually situated directly beneath the right lung. But as you continue to age and as you continue to grow, your heart will grow with you, and it'll slowly come out, and it'll come outside of the right lung. And eventually, as your heart grows and grows, it'll cross paths with the left lung. And the left lung is this lung right here, and this pink section, that will be your heart once it's big enough. And once the heart and the left lung both come really close to touching each other, the left lung will create a small notch, like a curve in the lung. And this is so that it allows the heart to grow, and it places the heart across from the lung, and this purple section just shows the cardiac notch. And this is just the heart just slowly pushing into the lung right there. And now we'll just do a quick phrase on the diaphragm. The diaphragm is almost like a floor. When you do some motion like laughing, it'll push up on your lungs. And when you do some other motion, once it pushes up on the lungs, it allows you to continue that action. Now we'll talk about the lungs itself. The lungs have the right and left lung, both are slightly different. The left lung being smaller due to the cardiac notch, and the right lung has 3 lobes. And the left lung only has 2 lobes. As shown here, this would be 1 lobe, 2 lobe, 3 lobe. And then there's, on the left lung, 1 lobe and 2 lobe. These lobes are called the upper lobe, the middle lobe, and the lower lobe. Whereas on the left lung, this is called the upper lobe and the lower lobe. And then right here, I just have a small representation of the heart transferring blood into the lungs. And just in case, make sure to go check out my other video on the heart just to get a better understanding of how this pulmonary system actually works. So this is just the heart just transferring blood back and forth, and through means of the alveoli and other functions. Now we will be moving on to the brain. Now we will talk about the brain and how the brain relates to the respiratory system. Just across from the cerebellum, a large section of the brain controls the respiratory system. This leaf-like shape is the cerebellum. Another section of the brain is the respiratory center. This is the respiratory center. This is the one that helps you control all your functions. In the respiratory center, a section of it is called the medulla oblongata. This will send signals to your muscles in order to help breathing occur. This is your medulla oblongata, this lower part right here. And this medulla oblongata will also control reflexes regarding sneezing, coughing, swallowing, and vomiting. Directly underneath the medulla oblongata is another section of the respiratory center. This one is called the pons. This one is right above the medulla oblongata. And the pons is a section that mainly regulates the rate and speed of involuntary breathing. So this may come in handy when, say, you're sleeping and you're not thinking about breathing. This is where the pons will help carry out a function. The section of the respiratory center that controls voluntary breaths is the cerebral cortex. This section of the respiratory center may come in handy during certain situations, such as cooling down something with a forceful breath or blowing out a candle. Now we will talk about central chemoreceptors and peripheral chemoreceptors. Central chemoreceptors help it'll help communicate with other parts of the brain and help carry out certain tasks. Central chemoreceptors also maintain the pH levels. Now we will talk about peripheral chemoreceptors. Peripheral chemoreceptors are located in the arch of the aorta, whereas central chemoreceptors are located in the respiratory center. As shown here, these are the peripheral chemoreceptors, and they are located in the arch of the aorta. These detect changes in blood oxygen and carbon dioxide, but not pH levels, because that's specifically for central chemoreceptors. They do not desensitize and have less of an impact on the respiratory rate compared to the central chemoreceptors. That means that central chemoreceptors control the rate and speed of certain breaths as well. I hope you learned something from this tutorial, and I hope to provide more tutorials like this. Feel free to leave your comments below. Bye.